Hello, everyone. I'm Angeline and she's Resa, and welcome to episode 104 of With the Quickness.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Yes, happy Sunday indeed. Well, it's time for our takeaways, Resa. We just finished church, and what was your takeaway from the Potter's house?
So my takeaway was real greatness must be incubated in isolation.
Okay. And my takeaway from First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens is don't do anything without God. Don't plan, don't meet, don't exercise ministry, don't do anything without the Lord there to help you. All right. So we're going to get more into those sermons a little later in the show. But right now, it's time for Resa's playlist. What's the big song this week, Resa?
So the song this week is by Jor'dan Armstrong. It's called Call, featuring Erica Campbell from the gospel group Mary Mary. Call is basically a song about how God is always reliable and dependable. So it's definitely a relatable song for anyone that is on their walk with Christ. And plus, this song doesn't sound like your typical gospel song. It actually sounds like an R&B song.
I believe I've heard that song on Sirius XM lately. So it's on their current album right now, right?
Well, right now he has an album out called Church Girls Love R&B.
Mm-hmm.
This song is not on that album. That album just came out in March, but it is a single though.
Oh, wow. Great. That's good to know. See, I would have been looking forward on that CD. So this is something that they collaborated on together. They're husband and wife, right?
No, Jor'dan Armstrong is not married to Erica Campbell.
Oh, I'm thinking of, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the song by Warren and Erica. They have a song out right now.
This is not that song.
My apologies to Mary Mary.
Jor'dan Armstrong.
I'm so sorry about making your wife be all of a sudden tied with another man. That was never my intention. Never my intention.
Now, Jor'dan Armstrong is married, but he's not married to Erica Campbell. He's with someone else. Let's make that clear.
Sorry, so sorry. But it's a really good song. What made you pick it?
I just liked it because, again, it talks about how dependable and reliable God is. And I also love how the song has a 90s influence. A lot of Jor'dan's songs have a 90s influence because he is like a big 90s fan. So I do like that. And I do like the fact, like I said before, that it doesn't sound like a typical gospel song.
Oh, wow. So that means that anybody, if you're like listening to it pumping in your car, you know how people like to play stuff in their car in the summertime, and it's summertime here in Jersey. So if you're listening somewhere else in the world, it's summertime here.
Yes.
Would you, if you played the song loudly in your car, will people automatically know from the first beats of it that it's definitely a gospel song, or is it takes you a while to really listen to the lyrics to realize that's going on?
Honestly, you probably wouldn't think that it is a R&B song. I mean, that it is a gospel song, because it sounds like a typical R&B song, which is basically what Jor'dan was trying to do. He wants to broaden the horizon of gospel music, so it doesn't sound just one way. Oh,
great. And you love the message. That's the message you were going for this week.
Yes.
And it's currently going to be part of the playlist that they can access on our website, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we look forward to hearing it. I haven't heard it, I don't believe. I might have, I might not. I'm not sure. It's called Call, right?
Yes.
And it's not on any album. It's just a single, is what you're saying.
It's just a single. And I believe a long time ago you sent me the song, so you probably definitely did hear it.
Oh, wow. Because his name sounds familiar. I might have sent some things from him. And if I sent it, I'm going to go back and look and make sure that's the one that I'm thinking of. Thank you, Resa. I really appreciate that. All right, let's go on to the bulk of the show where we're going to talk about the sermons that were given at our houses of worship. Now, Resa is a member of the Potter's House in Dallas, Texas. So her covering comes from Bishop T.D. Jakes. I am a member of First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens here in New Jersey, and my covering comes from Reverend Dr. Dante R. Quick, who is being installed as the senior pastor, the fourth senior pastor of my church later on today. So we might come back, or I might come back and do a little, my take on the sermon that was given at his installation. But that explains why we always pick those two houses to talk about the men and women of God that came to those pulpits and gave a word during the Sabbath. So it doesn't mean we're not going to talk about other men and women of God. And we are looking forward to doing that with shorts. But we talk about our churches because we would normally do that anyway. Without the podcast, without YouTube, we would normally talk about this stuff anyway, about the words we got, right, Resa?
Right, absolutely.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go first and talk about First Baptist Church because last week we did the Potter's House first. So we like to alternate. This today, because we've been doing this whole installation celebration. Resa, we've been celebrating, I think, since Tuesday. Everything has been stellar. We had jazz performances. We had spoken word. We've had, praise dancers. We had talks that were moderated. You name it, First Baptist did it. Why? Because it's only been 4 pastors over this church. I think the last one was done in the 1930s. Pastor Soares was installed then. And he's been holding down the mantle for a lot of years. And so we don't get to celebrate like this very often. So we went a little over the top in the Lord's way, in a good way, in a way that I'm sure the Potter's House can very much appreciate. Recently, I saw the Easter service for the Potter House, and that was almost like Broadway.
Yeah, the Potter's House, they are known to do things in a very big way.
Definitely. But it's all for the Lord every time. Today we had Reverend Dr. Jacqueline Thompson. She's the senior pastor of the Allen Temple Baptist Church in Oakland, California. She gave her sermon that was titled Not Without God. And the scriptures she referenced were Exodus 33, verses 12 through 18 of the NRSV. Now, it's a part of the scripture that deals with the Israelites who have been freshly, delivered from Egypt, and Moses is currently counseling with God up on Mount Sinai, right? So Pastor Thompson, this lady was electric as she gave her sermon. She didn't even, she might have had notes in her head, but she said to us, she's pretty much going to go off the cuff. So I don't even know if she had a couple points that she knew she wanted to speak of once she read the scripture, or she was just doing this straight from the spirit, but it was moving. I was totally enthralled. Now, her first thing she said to us was some words of caution because we're installing our newest pastor. She said that God is everywhere, but don't question his presence. She said, the associate pastors of First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens need to be very careful about the saints wanting to, rise up in any way against the senior pastor. And I was a little shocked that she said that, but I understood it because anytime you have anybody in leadership, there can be naysayers even among those closest to you. So I appreciate her giving that word of caution to them to let them be aware that might be something that could possibly happen. Not in my church, Resa. Like Jan Levan says, not on my watch. Not on my watch. We're not having it. We're totally, as far as I've heard through the people that I've talked to at First Baptist, we are excited about this pastor. So if there's any detention, if there's any uprising taking place, any dissension taking place, I know nothing of it. Resa, and I'm not a part of it. I'm uplifting my pastor all day, every day. Or as they say down south, all day, every day. So she gave that word of caution. Then she went on to talk a little bit more about how God knows our past. He's helped us with our past, but it's up to us not to forget what he's done in our lives. Don't doubt his presence. We can be in different seasons in our life, and we could be in different seasons in our worship. Our church is going through a transition right now, having a new senior pastor installed. It's just another new season. And with new seasons, bring new things. So she's telling us to be prepared for that. Okay, she went on to say a little bit more about what Moses was talking with God about on Mount Sinai. She said, at this point in Exodus, Moses had said, if your presence doesn't go with us, Lord, then leave us where we are, because he knew God's presence provides protection. And then she went on to give examples of how God being in our life has been very helpful. She gave an example of, and you would find this hilarious. She went back to her college days and talked about financial aid office. The financial aid office when she was working on getting her degree. Oh. And I'm not lying. She asked it. See, you have to listen to the sermon now on YouTube. Just because you're laughing so hard, you wonder if I'm making it up. I'm not making it up. She even talked about the lady in the line telling her to Jacqueline, come here. And took her in the back, and then how she started crying, like, what's going on? She was, I just can't pay for my, and she started crying. And the lady's just on her computer getting stuff done for her. Yes, you definitely have. I'm not going to give it away because I can see you smiling so much about it.
Well, no, I'm only smiling because, at my school at the time, nobody was really crying. They were more so using colorful language, I wouldn't say. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of screaming.
I understand that. She also even talked about the power of God when she talked about that Maya Chirello, the 11-year-old survivor of the Robb Elementary School massacre in Texas, how she smeared blood on herself after her friend died. So she actually talked about how God protects you in a certain way and makes you, use all your talents, all your faculties and everything to get you where you need to be, but by the grace of God, right? And in the final part that I pointed out earlier, don't do anything without God. She said, don't make a plan, don't meet, don't do any exercise, any ministry without God. I feel in my spirit, thanks to Reverend Dr. Quick, this podcast wouldn't even exist without that man giving that word to his congregation. We wouldn't have done the Daniel fast together. We would not have had prayer and purpose in our life. You would not have rededicated yourself back to Christ if he hadn't started that wheel in motion based on the word he got from above. So I think we've done everything of this podcast totally with God in mind.
I would definitely agree that this podcast is definitely having God in mind.
Yeah, we labored over everything and prayed over everything. Remember how we were sitting there with white paper, doing nothing but meeting and talking and making sure we were very clear on the purpose that this is for new and rededicated Christians that want assistance on their walk. We made it clear about what things we wanted to present. And none of it's self-serving. We made sure of that. We're like, if anything, if it feels like it's us, it has to go out the door, kick it outside, make it roll down the hill. We're not doing it. And if we ever do get off path, do you think we will know, Resa? We'll be aware that we're going awry?
Well, I think we will. I think we'll definitely sense it in our spirit that it's just like it's not who we truly are and not the purpose of the podcast.
Yeah. Now, some people might wonder why we call the podcast With the Quickness. I'll tell you right now. It's because of Reverend Dr. Dante Quick. It would not be called The Quickness if we both had not been on the Daniel's fast together and having the impression and figuring out our purpose. So in honor of that being the initial spark, that's where our name came from. Okay. And then when Reverend Dr. Thompson finished speaking, Pastor and First Lady Soaries got up and they spoke a little bit because this is our installation, week. This is the culmination is coming up on it. And when they left, they reminded everybody to please come back for the installation because Reverend Dr. Aaron L. Parker, who's the senior pastor of Zion Hill Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, would be speaking at the installation. So, and I look forward to speaking about that in another episode. So Resa, there's another celebration going on your neck of the woods, I hear too.
Yes. So this week was Bishop T.D. Jakes' 65th birthday. Wow. So today was a pure celebration of his birthday, and we all wanted to make sure that he felt the love that he gives out to all of us throughout the years.
I saw the praise dancers and the choir. Was there like 65 members in the choir? That's a big choir.
Yeah, there were a lot of people. I'm not sure if it was 65, but there were a lot of people in the choir.
Yeah, I mean, they had me moved. I was like, wow, this is electric. I mean, they had it looked like gold specks coming down, like the choir was covered all around. It was like a Broadway show because all of a sudden, instead of having the 65 in front of the choir, it turned into like gold rain coming down around everybody. Mm-hmm. Wow.
It was a glorious day. Diddy was there, AKA Love.
Yes.
Devon Franklin was there.
Mm-hmm.
Saw him in the crowd. So a lot of
people. I
saw
Shawnee.
Shawnee,
who's not O'Neal anymore. No. Hers is Henderson, right? Or something like that.
Yes.
Okay. I saw her and her husband there. Wow. There was a song that was sung called Breaking in My Favor. Do you remember that song that was sung? I mean, I was like, whoa, the spirit, just like in First Baptist, like something was going on with these celebrations. Everybody had singers that was just lighting the sanctuary on fire. I know he had those pastors and their spouses stand up, and he acknowledged all of them. He also acknowledged all the financial organizations that have gathered on his behalf, his international friends that have come because of his birthday. And of course, like you said, Sean Puffy Combs. I mean, he was all in white sitting on the front row too. You know, it was a beautiful birthday celebration.
Yeah, like you can definitely feel the love in the room that everyone was there for TD Jakes.
I was not expecting him to speak at his own celebration, Resa. Were you?
I kind of was, because he had on like the royal blue suit, and I guess I don't know what you call those, the white
stoles, the stole.
Yeah, the stoles on. So I figured he would give a message today.
Well, his message, his sermon title was "Hit the Spot," and he took scriptures from Luke 19, chapters 1 through 10 of the New International Version. Zacchaeus climbed a tree to see Jesus, and when Jesus saw him, he instructed him to come down in order to host him in his home. Zacchaeus gave half of his possessions to the Lord. That's what's covered in those scriptures. Bishop Jakes made it very clear, whatever you need to do, just hit the spot. If you hit the spot, you'll forget the struggle that you had to endure to get to that spot. So that was a really good message. He quoted Maya Angelou, "When a person tells you who they are, believe them." Was that a good Maya impersonation?
That was a good Maya Angelou impersonation.
I tried, right? I tried. I mean, a couple more years want me to get it right, but yeah. After the quote, he went on to say, "Don't argue with people to be whatever you want them to be, accept them as they are." Most people, he said, don't even know who they really are, because we're all in a process of becoming. And I think you had said something about that too, that we're about evolving and things of that sort, right?
Right. Because the person that I was when I was younger is not who I am today. And who I was last year is not who I am today. So it's all about evolution.
Yeah, it is all about evolution. So that means that goes into the second part where he's talking about trust the process. Are you comfortable with the process you're on so far of becoming the person you want to be? Do you see the projection you're trying to make?
Yeah, like I will say I've definitely seen it along the way. Has it been frustrating at times? Yes. Have I questioned why I'm doing this? Yeah. But I know where I'm trying to go, and I'm trying to focus on enjoying the actual journey. That's something else that Bishop T.D. Jakes had talked about, just being in the moment and not being so concerned about, where you're trying to be.
Yeah. I like when he said, like you said before at the beginning, about real greatness must be incubated in isolation. He talked about Tina Turner, how her second act, like nobody knew she was coming back. After she divorced Ike, nobody was really checking for her like that. They went on to the next big thing in the 80s, right? And then she came back for second act. She did all that stuff in isolation, in privacy, and kind of covered. And then she revealed the greatness that, God was working on in her. And that happens to all of us. He also mentioned another singer while he was talking. Who was it, Resa?
India.Arie.
India.Arie. That's right. She was talking about, she has some lyrics about slow down. What song was he talking from? Do you remember? I don't even know what song that was.
I believe the song is called Slow Down.
Okay.
I can't recall the lyrics verbatim, but I never heard the song before. But I was glad to know he was an India.Arie fan.
Right. Me too. He said sudden decisions are not good decisions. And, he went on to talk about it's important for us to take time to find ourselves. I think that resonated with me. I know in my walk, in my leadership walk, it's so hard each time you have a leadership lesson to get the lesson, to apply the things you've learned, and to not repeat the mistakes. So you got to keep moving forward. So I like the fact that he was very, very resolute by saying to us, you are becoming, you're on the road to wisdom. Don't beat yourself up too much. You're on the road to mastery, the road to victory, the road to wisdom. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I can definitely I felt that word too, because not only can you apply it in your leadership walk, you can also apply it in life.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you'll get the same lesson 10 different ways just to make sure you learn.
Yeah. That is so true. That is so true. Pastor Jakes went on to talk about Zacchaeus. He said that he was on the path of Jesus's death march. And that he started to describe him and said he's a short man, he's a tax collector, he was an outcast. He said a lot of things that made this guy sound like nobody was really checking for him in a lot of ways. No one was really wanting to elevate him as a person of prestige. They just saw his shortcomings in a lot of ways. And I liked how he took that man's shortcomings and applied it to all of us and said, all of us have shortcomings, but he just said the word short, meaning shortcomings. Didn't you like that? All of us have something that's going to make us, that we have to work on, something that we're not really confident in, that might be holding us back. We all have shortcomings when it comes, but by grace of God.
Honestly, I was just shocked that, people were paying taxes back then. I thought that was like,
now, governments are going to get their money, Resa.
I just didn't know Jesus and them was paying taxes. I thought that was something that happened like
when you
have a group of people,
when you have a group of people together and they decide to make something called a government, the government gonna get taxes. The governor gonna get taxes.
Listen, I was just shocked when he said the tax man. I said, wait, y'all had taxes back in that time? I didn't know.
Yeah, you're gonna pay something. You're gonna pay something. You live in our country, our territory, you're gonna pay something. But I like how he said that even though all of us have shortcomings, that God's grace equalizes everything. So you might wonder how somebody got elevated to a certain position when you might know more, this, that, and the other, or why somebody that has something that's wrong with them is getting fame and fortune, and you didn't think, well, they're not the best looking model. How come she got the campaign or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. It's because of God's grace. True. God's grace every time. So they were really good words this week on both celebrations.
Yeah, they were really good.
I think so too. Really good. Let's go on now to the screening room. I like the screening room because usually after church, I can watch a good movie. Couldn't do it today because I had installations going on and things of that sort. So I watched a good movie earlier in the week. And I watched one called HAV Faith. But HAV is spelled HAV, capital H, capital A, capital V. Because it's the first letters of the first character's name. It was written and directed by Howard Bell IV. Okay, the movie stars Akunde Warnock, Hayden Gallier Barnes, Howard Bell, Percy Bell, Teron Brooks, Santiago Chilio, Morgan Collier, Mikkel Lynn Hansen, and a guy named Anthony. He has no last name. I'm sorry. It's just Anthony. I looked to see if he could have more than one name, but he's doing a Prince thing, Resa. It's just Anthony.
That's it? Like there's really no last name for him?
There's really none listed. I looked everywhere for the actor's last name. It's not there. I think it's because he's a musician or something in that, some kind of, entertainer in that aspect. So he took a note from Prince's page and said, y'all could just call me Anthony. I think he forgot there's a lot of Anthonys in the world.
There are a lot, but you know what? A lot of them go by Tony though.
There's different kind of Tonys. There's a Tony Tones, all kind of ways.
A Tony with an I, Tony with a Y.
Tony with an E accent. Okay, enough of you, Anthony. Let's go into the movie. A brief synopsis of the movie. HAV Faith is a modern day story of Joseph. So what was meant for bad, God will turn around and use it for his good, right? So Hamilton A. Vaughn, that's where you get the initials HAV, is a former promoter, and he experiences a life-changing incident that catapults him to the front of a prominent church, Mission Church, it's called. There he meets an old friend, Faith, as well as AJ, the son of the retiring bishop, who oversees that seems less than pleased by the appointment of Hamilton and is determined to oust the overseer no matter what the cost. That was the brief bio that they put on the site. Let me just tell you right now, HAV is a guy that is not related to the bishop, and the bishop is used to giving his mantle in this church to someone in his family. Okay, someone in his family normally inherits. That's how he got his position as the senior pastor of the church. So his son AJ is thinking it's automatically going to go to him. But his father brings in HAV or Hamilton to take over the church, which does not sit well with AJ at all. So it's definitely a story of Joseph because AJ sets him up in order to make sure that he ends up being the pastor. Now, with all this installation going on around me, I had to pick something that had to do something about passing the torch in the movie. So I had to pick this one, and it's really, really good. The film reminds us to always have faith in the Most High God. The themes are redemption, faith, drama, and perseverance. You can see the trailer for this movie on our website, www.withquickness.com. So you can take a look at it there. And I hope all of you will give it a try. As you know, the movie is on the PureFlix platform that I'm subscribed to. I believe you can also see it on YouTube. I think you also can see it there. And it came out in 2016. So it hasn't been out for that long that it wouldn't be available. So please check it out. You think you're going to watch it, Resa?
Of course. Why not?
I appreciate it. I mean, it was pretty good. I really liked it. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm going to have to get a little more diversified in my movies though, lady. Have you noticed every movie I'm promoting is people of color? What does that say about me?
That you are a supporter of people of color?
Hey, yes it does. Black Lives Matter. Okay, I'm leaving that in, Resa. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right.
It's your prerogative.
Like Bobby Brown, it's my prerogative. I'm leaving that part in. Okay. Now, normally, before we end the show, we would have a segment called Before the Bema Seat. If you would like to share your story of your Christian experience, a story that will inspire new and rededicated Christians, please visit www.withthequickness.com and select the Bema Seat tab. There, you can fill out a form so that we can schedule your virtual interview. You can also email us at bemaseat@withquickness.com if you want to begin the guest process that way. Okay, well, that's another show in the can, Resa. We are done. Got to go off. Let's watch some installation stuff going on. And I'll let you know on the other side, either with another podcast, or you can find us on YouTube and hear my thoughts on that one.
All right. It was a pleasure talking to you guys this Sunday. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you next Sunday.
We know we didn't miss you last week, Resa, by the way. Oh my goodness. I tried to hold it down by myself, Resa, the best I could, but it was not the same.
Well, I definitely appreciate all the love. I need to get some rest, but I'm okay.
Yeah. And we all need to do that from time to time. And if you're getting to the point where you need some rest, take it, but take us with you. We're on podcasts where you can listen to them everywhere, and we're available on YouTube. All right, everybody have a great Sunday. Bye now.
Bye.
I just can't stop thinking about you. I just can't stop thinking about you. I just can't stop thinking about you.